Why do some creators blow up overnight while others with better content stay stuck at zero?
Today, we're exposing the 3 deadly mistakes that make you invisible online, plus a simple 5-minute exercise that will make you unforgettable.
Because here's the thing, while everyone else is copying the same AI-generated content, the creators who stand out are doing something completely different.
How would you even define brand? I feel like people throw that around all the time, and people mean completely different things by that. What do you mean by that?
That's true. So branding is the pairing of two things, right? And so a brand is the perception that the pairing of those two things create. So if you think about, I heard this example actually. So Nike used to be a running brand and everyone knew it as running. Nobody associated it with basketball until they partnered with Michael Jordan, and every single basketball game, Michael Jordan wore his Nikes. He was seen with those Nikes over and over and over again. And so people started associating Nike with basketball. And so that's how Nike then became known as a basketball brand.
That's interesting. I remember hearing a while back the idea that it's what people think about if they hear your company name, like just the thoughts and feelings that they have towards that. But I'd never heard it specifically as a conscious pairing of two things, which results in what I'm saying. But that's a really cool way to think about it, how you can create that rather than just say, oh, it's this feeling and thought that people had. I like that a lot.
Yeah. And it's absolutely something that you consciously can start, put yourself out there paired with these certain ideas. And that's how you start to become known with what you were known as.
What would you say one of the biggest mistakes that you see people make when it comes to making their brand?
Okay. One is people think your brand is your fonts and your colors and all of these things. And like, well, how can I stand out? I think I'm going to just be the person that wears a pink suit every single time they post. And that is adorable. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but that is not your actual brand, right? And so people spend so much time on Canva fonts and getting their profile aesthetically perfect, when if you look at my Instagram profile, there is not a single matching thing on there, right? And I do not have very strategic branding colors, which maybe I should now that I've been in this space for 3 years. But my brand is who I am and what my messaging is.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because I remember it was Dan Henry who had made at least 15 or 20 million when he still was using just a really super common font, just typed out for his logo, and that was it. And honestly, to this day, I'm not even 100% sure if he has a logo. I really don't know. I guess it doesn't matter. Certainly not for how he's built things.
Yeah. And we were at a mastermind, and somebody said that studies show that Helvetica New, like the literal most basic boring font in the world, converts way better than any of these fancy Canva fonts you see.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you figure out your brand without going crazy, overcomplicating it, getting all in the weeds?
Okay, so what you can think about right now is what you want to be known as and how you want to make people feel when they leave your page, and just write that down, write like 2 to 3 things down, and remember that with every single piece of content that you create. And so the easiest way to really stick with that is to figure out what your message is, who your target audience is, and deliver the same message to them like over and over and over again. And you and I, we teach our CCI students this all the time. Is like, people don't want to go to your page and feel surprised every single time they go.
Yeah.
And that's how you start to build a brand, is by repeating yourself over and over. And you have that story.
Oh yeah. So I was in a mastermind group for quite a while, and something that was really hammered into our heads during that was just the idea that when you're creating content, when you're putting things out there, that you need to feel like you are making everybody absolutely sick of hearing about you and your thing, like you are doing it all day long, every day. And once you feel, oh, this is so much, maybe then you've almost posted enough about things. And what happened was she ran a test after she had been doing all this marketing, all this posting, the emails, the videos, everything going out, over and over and over. Then right after cart closed and everything, sent out a survey asking people if they knew about this new product that she had put out. And if they'd heard anything about it, just a few questions like that. And it was double-digit percentage of people. Like, I think it was over 30 or 40% that answered that were like, no, what are you talking about? What's that?
Right.
It's crazy.
You want to repeat yourself. And going back to that Nike example, like Nike did not get known as a basketball brand because Michael Jordan wore shoes one time. He wore them over and over and over and over again, which is what you need to do with your messaging to develop that brand for yourself, is repeat it over and over and over again. People know me as like the content girl, or, you know, you as the systems guy, right? Like, you're not going off and teaching me something random just because, you know, it's new and you think your audience is sick of it, right? You're going to teach what you know and stick with that brand, which is the same thing that I do. And it's the same thing that we teach our students to do. But people just, they're like, I don't want to make people sick of me. I feel like I've repeated it too much. And I'm like, I promise you I'm not.
Well, and if you think about what you do and you're comfortable with it and everything, you teach something, you do something, and I said it, it's out there. It's like, no. That's not how that works. So we've been talking about that earlier with coming up with what sort of content to create next for long form video. And some of the topics we were going through, it's like, oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. And then I think one of them you were saying, well, we did one kind of like that. And it's like, yeah, and we're going to do 1,000 more that are kind of like that. That's how this works. And I mean, we're in this. We've been doing this for years. We know that. And even us in our own conversations, we're like, oh, that's right. We keep doing that. So,
exactly.
Yeah. What would you say one thing that you did early on that made you stand out, made people remember you?
I swear, everybody who kind of got started with their online business the same time that I did, they all were just copying and pasting each other's posts, which I literally did too, because I was just starting. I did not know what I was doing.
Yeah.
But once I outgrew that, I started telling my story and my perspective and my experience with things, and my sales skyrocketed. I mean, you've heard my story. I literally went from $4,000 months to multiple six-figure months in 60 days because of this one thing. Is I stopped regurgitating the same stupid tips and tricks that everybody does. And I think that right now, it's even more important than ever because of AI. Because anybody can learn something from ChatGPT and then call themselves an expert.
And the same robot is telling all of them the same thing. So, for sure.
Like, no longer are the days of like, here are 3 tips to do this. Like, people are drowning in tips and tricks. It is not getting people to trust you, and it's not getting people to remember you. You sound like the same reel that they just scrolled past 100 times. And so you need to share your perspective and your insight. Like, okay, so you learn these tips and tricks, but what insight, what value can you add to it to show people that you actually know what you're talking about? Your
story or experience with the tips. Like, it's not even that they're bad, it's how it's delivered. And if you're telling your story of, well, here's how I implemented this, this, and this, and what happened, how I felt, what I learned from it, the result, what worked, what didn't, like just adding those extra elements that, you know, people know you're a human and you do something and you have thoughts of your own. People are craving that more and more and more. So,
And another thing too is with all of the AI generated videos and stuff, and I'm not like against them or anything. But it's just so important to show your personality and your insights and your opinions more than literally ever it has been in history before.
I think something that really kickstarts that's an easy exercise to do that kind of gets that muscle going and strengthens that is the idea of writing down popular things that you see or opinions that people have, things that people think, and then there are certain ones of those that you are going to see and you're going to be like, I've got something better than that, or I have a different thought than that. And something that brings that emotional impulse of, I want to talk about that one. Talk about it. Turn on a camera, and whatever it is that you're bringing to the table that brought that feeling up inside of you, that's going to make your content easier, better. And other people are going to hear that and say, finally, somebody who's feeling, the thing that I think, they're feeling the way that I feel, they're having the same reaction. And that's just a great, easy way to get started with that, in my opinion. So
100%.
I know that's something that gets me in the past and even still now sometimes, but I see this a lot of the time is start creating content or people have ideas about something and then it's like, well, there's exceptions to this, and I need to really explain this so that I understand. People got to understand that I see all the different perspectives,
They want
all
to
the different
sanitize
sides.
it.
Yeah. It's something that you might do in a conversation with somebody where it's like, well, no, I understand where you're coming from. Let's talk about this and that. But that's an interaction. That's not content creation. And so with content creation, say your one thing, say your one thought, your perspective on it. Is there nuance to it? Obviously, there's nuance in a million different perspectives for everything.
And prime example is literally 2 days ago, I posted that reel where I was like, I don't care about my daughter's grades in school.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't want her failing. Obviously, I want her to learn. Obviously, I do not want her going to school and not trying because mom doesn't give a crap and learning is stupid. Obviously, did I mention any of that in my reel? No.
That would be the most boring content of all time.
And you want to keep that opinion strong because you want your content to repel the wrong people just as much as it attracts the right people.
Exactly. Yeah. And if it's all this perspectives for all people, it's not going to repel anyone and also isn't going to attract anyone. So why bother?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it takes a lot of time and effort to do that. So why put in all this extra to literally make it worse and useless? Okay, say somebody's brand new. They're building a brand from scratch, starting a new business, whatever. What advice would you have for that person? What should you think about? What should you do right now?
Okay, so good question. So we talked about how branding is an intentional pairing things, right? Mm-hmm. It is important to pair yourself with the right things just as much as it is important to not pair yourself with the wrong things. Okay.
Give me an example of that.
All right. Let's say I want to start going on podcasts. Okay. And I'm going to be, messaging a bunch of creators to see if they're looking for guests on their podcasts. I'm not going to go on podcasts by people who believe things that are polar opposite to what I believe, or people who maybe don't have the best reputation in the space, or people that I just don't want to be associated with. I'm not going to ask them to be on their podcast. I'm going to not associate myself with them because I want to be known as something different. So think about, what do you not want to be known for? And a lot of people, in the online coaching space, they say, well, I don't want to be known for easy money. Perfect. Write that down. And don't ever create a piece of content that could ever associate you as doing such. So do this exercise. Go write down 3 things that you want to be known for, that you want your brand to be associated with, that you want people to feel. And then write down 3 things that you do not want people to feel. And we did this with one of our CCI members because she helps women handle finances and life after their spouse passes away. But she doesn't want to be known as morbidity and death. And so that's a fine line, right? But it's good that she recognized that because now she can keep that in mind when she is creating her content, that she doesn't want to just be known as the death girl. She wants to be known as this empowering woman.
The death girl.
Yeah. And so it's the same thing for
that would be an easy thing to fall into that if you didn't do the exercise that you just said for a space like that.
Exactly.
So, and that one seems like kind of an obvious one when you think about that. But that makes me also think, if it's not quite so obvious, there's probably some message you are either giving off or a message that you don't want to be giving off that you might not be aware of without doing that. So that's a great exercise. Yeah. Too. I love that.
So that's what I'd say. Take that and stick with it. Do not change your mind next week. Do not change your mind next month. Stick with it for a very long time. And if you have done this for a long time and you were thinking about rebranding in the future, fine. But do not just do it for 1 week or for 1 month and then switch, because you will never build your brand
that
way.
When that feeling happens a few weeks in, I feel like doing something new and exciting. If you get that feeling when you haven't executed on the last thing, ask yourself, okay, well, why am I feeling like this? And entrepreneurs, it's fun to create things and do new things. And then when you get into the weeds and you're making things happen, doing the day-to-day and all of that stuff, it's easy to kind of shy away from that and go back into creative planning fun mode. And so then the plan just keeps changing. And that's why no progress ever happens. So that's why.
So take it, stick with it for a long period of time, a long enough period of time to where you have seen results and you know what you're doing and can confidently pivot if the time comes, not after a month.
Yeah. Get results and be able to make a decision based on what happens. If you're just thinking about it, but you haven't actually put anything out there, you don't know if something's landing or not yet, or if it's working or not yet. Do something, get some feedback, then adapt based on that happening.
Here's the truth that nobody talks about. The hardest dollar to make online is your first one. And everything changes after that first sale. Your confidence, your belief, your momentum, everything. Inside Digital Marketer School, we specialize in exactly that moment, taking people from no online income to their first real sales. Not advanced scaling tactics, not six-figure blueprints, just that crucial first breakthrough that changes everything. And creators just like you are doing it every single day. Your brand foundation is set. Now let's get you your first sales. Click the link below to join Digital Marketer School this week. Or if we're full, jump on the wait list and you'll be the first in line when spots open again. Thanks for watching.